Whether I can ascribe any degree of idealism to the making of these films, yes. I mean, they might become very popular and people would look at them, but it really was much more the opportunity of doing something which was a new approach and perhaps a new distribution. It was probably too early for its time.
Don't you think there's something special about listening to music in the company of others? Being
I
part
agree.
of a group as opposed to just sitting at home?
I agree. I agree. I think you're perfectly right. Something which Glenn Gould would have died rather than to have admitted. But it's a collective feeling. Any really moving collective feeling is something which is part of a species. We don't only live as individuals, we live as groups of individuals. And perhaps that is something which is taking a rather negative form today.
Do you think it was perhaps too much to hope for in the film, that you aren't there in person, you're up on the screen in celluloid, and yet the public is sitting, maybe hundreds, maybe 1,000, sitting watching one piece after another? Perhaps there was something a bit too artificial about that for it to have a long life or have many subsequent films.
I think it would have to be a greater work of art, both visually and, what else, to command an audience, to hold them in rapture, shall we say. I don't think these films can actually pretend to such compelling power.
And yet at the same time, I'm sure you're glad you made them.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. In fact, even though I know that audiences react collectively, and it's a wonderful sensation to know that you've carried an audience as you've carried an orchestra, and that the exuberance has communicated itself to the whole audience. It's a wonderful feeling. I mean, just recently after the 9th in Berlin and so on and so forth, these are wonderful feelings, but in the final analysis, the musician is playing for himself.